My life is deeply intertwined with Belgian Malinois for a long time.
What is it about Belgian Malinois?
Gosh, so they have a unique combination of traits that suit kind of not the way I like to train and the things that I'm interested in doing in dog training, right? So one, the dogs bite like crazy. And so it just so happens that I'm very interested in protection sport disciplines, and they really like to use their mouths in a way that is almost unique. Like it's not natural in a way. And they're extremely athletic. And what I realized is early on in my exposure to protection dogs, that you could find a lot of dogs that really bit a lot, that had a lot of drive to bite, that were very confident, very strong dogs, but they were difficult to control. And when you saw the best Malinois, they were crazy to bite and incredibly athletic, and then under amazing amounts of control, right? And what I noticed when I got my first Malinois was they had a lot of motivation to work, they were very intelligent, and they were kind of sensitive. Right? So sensitive to the handler in a sense, but you had a dog with that much motivation and that much commitment to biting, and they were not sensitive to some degree, then they're very difficult to control and it's a big headache. And so they had this really lovely combination of traits, but the sensitivity can manifest in bad ways when you don't know what they're about, right? Like they're more high strung and more aware and more reactive than some of the other working type dogs are. But they suited me perfectly. Like the way I wanted to train, the first Malinois I got, we were just like, oh, where have you been all my life? Like, this is exactly the dog I like. Like they, away from the work, they're very affectionate, physically affectionate with their handlers. Like they want to touch you and be on you and all that kind of stuff. And out of drive, in lower states of arousal, they're quite sensitive to the handler and things. And so they're very responsive. And so for me, they are like the sky's the limit with them. If you have a good Malinois and you understand what makes them tick, then I can do almost anything with those dogs. And their desire to work and their ability to process information is remarkable. That they're challenging though. And if you kind of don't know how they work, then they can go terribly wrong, right? So lots of them carry a fair amount of aggression. Like I mentioned, they notice stuff, they're reactive, and that sensitivity, because people see how assertive they can be, then it's easy to overdo it with the pressure point and then cause problems there, right? So there were big issues in law enforcement originally when a lot of the police canine units first started getting Malinois in the US, which, in the late 80s, early 90s is when they started to catch on over here. And now they're, of course, everywhere in law enforcement, but they were kind of uncommon, mostly German Shepherds before that. And lots of handlers getting bit by their own dogs, right? Because they are less tolerant of stress when they don't know what to do without relationship. They're more high strung and sensitive. And so they have some downsides if you don't get them. But to me, like, I can't imagine having anything else. And that right now for me, they feel easy. Like I just know what a Malinois is like and how they think. And so it's like, oh yeah, they're really easy to live with. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're always moving and they're always biting stuff and they're always like, they're going all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that's once you figure out how to work with it, it's not bad.
After the movie Dog that was starring the Belgian Malinois, after Belgian Malinois being in the news for finding prisoners and other hero stories, we also have, I think, more than ever, mallets in shelters for that.
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst. Yeah. Like, and I've had a front row seat to that whole thing. So when I first got into Malinois, you never saw a Malinois that wasn't with a working dog person, and they never showed up in the shelters. And if one did, everybody in town that had a Malinois said, "What? There's a Malinois in the shelter! Quick!" Now they're overflowing with them. Like lots of poorly bred dogs that may even have had good bloodlines that people didn't know what they were getting into, had a litter and was like, oh my God, get these things out of here. It's bad. And they're tricky in that the first year of their life is really important. like this is true of a lot of dogs, but especially a Malinois, who are a little bit obsessive compulsive and a little bit edgy in general, that if they don't learn where to put their energies when they're young and they start putting them in the wrong place, they're very difficult to correct, and they're a little OCD about things. So once patterns are established, they're much harder to break. And so providing with the right sets of experiences early is really important. And so it's super frustrating and depressing a little bit, right? And the other thing is that they're meant to have aggression, right? And so it's a complicated discussion in modern society, but the dogs are bred to bite people. They're bred to be police dogs, right? And so even though there are highly sociable Malinois that are really friendly and they still like to bite and they would do sport bite work and things like that, you can also get mean ones in there at any given time. Dogs that are like overtly antisocial, and a lot of people aren't ready for that.
Yeah.
They met a Malinois, they saw a Malinois, and they're like, that one was really nice. Like, just beneath the surface, there's aggression, and you don't know. You have to, when you
waiting
enter,
for you to come out.
you have to be willing to deal with that if you get it.